It's July 1776. Not too long ago, in Philadelphia, the Founding Fathers have declared the independence of a new American nation. The patriotic citizens of Wilton would have no doubt celebrated this monumental event in their revolution. 5 more years of war lay ahead, and many questions remained unanswered. Could this new nation defeat the most powerful military on earth? Would other countries recognize this new government? Could they turn this experience into a Tony Award-winning musical? Seriously, Wilton Playhouse, I have a great idea. It's about the Founding Fathers, they sing hip-hop inspired songs. It'll be fantastic. I'll be a star. Anyway, back to 1776. On this summer night, spirits are high. A group of revolutionaries have gathered in this very house, the Society's Sloane Raymond Fitch House, to eat, drink, and rest before a long journey north to Litchfield in the morning. Outside on a cart lay thousands of pounds of gilded lead. Overnight, much of the cart's contents would disappear, creating another chapter in an unusual and lesser-known story of the American Revolution. I'm Wilton Historical Society Associate Curator Nick Foster, and on this episode of History is Here, we're going to tell the twisting tale of the King George III statue originally erected on Bowling Green in Manhattan in 1770. In a delightful historical coincidence, the statue was the work of a London-based sculptor named Joseph Wilton. Had Wilton known what the ultimate fate of his creation would be, he probably wouldn't have bothered in the first place. The statue was cast in lead and gilded and weighed approximately 2 tons. It was based on a statue of Marcus Aurelius in Rome, and depicted the king as an over life-size Roman emperor on horseback. The statue's lifespan was short-lived. On July 9, 1776, the Declaration of Independence was read aloud for the first time in New York City. Fired up by the rousing words of the document, dozens of citizens and soldiers decided that the statue needed to go. Using ropes and fueled by hatred of the king, the sculpture was yanked off its plinth and smashed to pieces, with no one really bothering to ask, what did that poor statue ever do to you? One piece of the statue disappeared almost immediately. The head was lopped off with the intention of placing it on a pike, perhaps in an attempt to create the world's most expensive scarecrow. New York loyalists instead stole the head and sent it back to London, where within a year it ended up in the hands of Lord and Lady Townshend, whose father Charles Townshend had largely been responsible for the hated series of taxes known as the Townshend Acts. Its whereabouts today are unknown. It was decided that the remaining pieces of the valuable lead would be turned into bullets for the perpetually undersupplied Continental Army. It was first sent by ship to Norfolk, where Wilton resident Henry Chichester received it. He was tasked with leading a team of ox carts north, to the home of General Oliver Wolcott in Litchfield. There, Wolcott would supervise the manufacturing of the musket balls. The trip took the better part of 2 days, and through the efforts of Wolcott and his team, the statue produced a meticulously counted 42,088 musket balls. The king was ready to be fired back at his own British troops, and I'm sure the irony of it all was lost on no one. The story, however, doesn't end there. During his trip north, Chichester stopped at the home of Wilton militia captain Clap Raymond, whose house was operating as a tavern at the time and is now the Society's Sloane Raymond Fitch House. He spent the night, possibly eating his dinner right here in this room. During his stay, several pieces of the statue went missing, which was only realized several days later when the lead from the statue produced far fewer musket balls than originally anticipated. The mysterious whereabouts of these missing pieces were not realized until 50 years later, when in 1822, a section of lead resembling a saddle was pulled out of a pond across the street from the Raymond House. This section of His Highness King George is what now provides the name for the section of Wilton known as Crown Pond. Several more pieces, large and small, were discovered throughout town throughout the latter part of the 1800s. So why did all these pieces, roughly 420 pounds worth of lead, go missing in the first place? Did Chichester and his friends have a few too many drinks and forget where they placed them? Did wild animals steal it? Was it ghosts? No, the answer is probably far simpler than that. Clap Raymond's neighbors were 3 known British loyalists, David Sloane, Samuel Belden, and Joe Burlock. There was no mystery where the lead was going and what its ultimate purpose was, and the most likely scenario is that the Tories decided they weren't going to allow these traitors to the crown to turn their king into musket balls. They simply crept next door during the night, grabbed as much lead as they could carry, and dumped it in the woods and ponds in their property where no one could find it. We can't be sure of their thievery, since we don't have any first-hand accounts of Sloane, Belden, or Burlock admitting guilt, but it was far more likely them than ghosts. Some of the lead pieces were kept by the individuals who found them, who unfortunately lost them again. Other pieces were sold or donated to various museums, including George's horse's tail, which is now at the New York Historical Society. Here at the Wilton Historical Society, we're very fortunate to have our own piece, believed to be part of King George's cape, which is now on display as part of our permanent exhibition, Connecticut's History, Wilton's Story. Roughly 1,400 pounds are still unaccounted for. And that, my friends, concludes the tale of how 2 tons of British Monarch ended up in Wilton. If there's a lesson in all this, and I'm not sure there is, but if there was, it would be careful when building monuments to your own vanity, just in case some very angry militiamen melt it down and fire it back at you. As always, thanks for watching. Remember, all that glitters might actually be lead, and stay tuned for more history.